Welcome back with a smiling face. Links to previous episodes are given in the video description, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video. The Path of Strength. Episode 2. Chapter 11. Justin's POV. Michael and I were finishing up another training session, with the future warriors. Katalia has not been in a session since I saw her training with the Alpha. Michael and I have not spoken since the incident with Anna, and I was determined to talk to him today after training. I needed him to understand that Anna did not mean anything to me. I was truly being serious when I told him that I wanted to get to know Katalia. Instead of every she-wolf, maybe you should have listened to me when I said not to touch her. Aries growled in my head. Wolf. Always so temperamental. Happy? I regret it. But, at the same time, I am not actually seeing anyone right now, so I could technically screw whoever I want to. Or you could have been waiting for our mate like I have asked of you since our first shift. I can feel her. She is near and I don't think she is going to appreciate it when she finds out that her mate has been screwing around with she-wolves throughout the entire pack. Aries growled back at me. Rarely, my wolf and I disagree. For the most part, we are on the same page. The only thing that we had mostly disagreed about was waiting for my mate. He believes that I should be some form of the Virgin Mary when we meet our mate, but I think that until I meet her, I should be able to do anything that I want to do. Not like she knows who my past flings are, and I don't expect to know who her past flings are. Plus, could you imagine what it would be like to not find your mate until you were 30? Can you imagine a werewolf being a 30-year-old virgin? I silently laughed at myself. Neither could I. As the last pack member is leaving, I holler out, "Hey, Michael! Wait up!" I rushed to catch up to Michael. "Can we talk for a moment?" "Sure." "What's up?" he responded. "So, about the other night, what you walked in on. I want you to know that there is nothing going on between Anna and I. Sometimes, we just use each other to get our frustrations out, but I promise it is nothing more than casual **X. I was being serious when I told you that I wanted to get to know your sister. I like her personality, her spunk. I was just frustrated the day of the party, I was pissed off. She had turned me down again and it sort of hurt. I was frustrated and angry. I deserved the hits that you threw at me and I promise it won't happen again. I am sorry that you got the wrong impression from it." I rushed to finish my sentence. Michael looks me up and down before speaking. "I am sorry about the other night. I overreacted and I could not see that at the moment. All I saw was white-hot anger. You had just bared your soul to me, hours prior, and then I caught you with some other female after just telling me how much you wanted my sister. I just could not handle it. But it did not give me the excuse to attack you as I did, and my wolf helped me understand that. Please accept my apology." "Of course. No harm, no foul. You really helped me see the error of my ways with that face pounding though. Hurt, but it helped me see what I was doing was wrong. It was wrong of me to use Anna in that way and, even though there is nothing between your sister and I still want to be a man that she could be proud of and that she might hopefully give a chance to. Even if I don't really deserve that chance with her." Michael and I continued walking together until we reached the pack house. As we prepared to enter the pack house, Michael turned and looks at me. "Please don't give up on her. She is difficult. She is stubborn. She is a pain. But we all want her to move on. I know it is not fair for all of us to know this big hidden secret that no one is willing to tell you, but know that it is because we care about her. She did not want anyone to know what happened to her. I nodded to him and promised I wouldn't give up that easily. I decided to go for a walk. It has been a while since I went for a walk without having to worry about going somewhere. As I walked, I let my thoughts trail to Katalia. What could have happened to her that caused her to not want to get close to anyone? She does not even like having new friends, which is odd. I remember when I was younger wanting to come to this pack to meet the elusive children of the Alpha, who everyone that had originally come from my pack praised. They would tell me about Katalia's heart and how likable she was easygoing, and very well liked among her peers. Before I knew it, I was in the park, and I found an empty bench to sit on. I have always been drawn to parks when I need to think, but it has been a while since I have felt this drawn here. I wondered what my wolf meant when he said that my mate was close, that he could sense her. Does that mean I should stop pursuing Katalia? I do not want either one of us to fall in love and then find out that we are not fated. That would hurt. Incredibly. As my wolf already stated, he will not take any other she-wolf as his mate. He wants the one the moon goddess destined for him. As I sat in the park, I observed a couple walking hand in hand using the greenway. That is something I want. I want to feel loved. I want to love someone. I am tired of being alone. I am 19 and I am ready to meet my fated. I decided to FK it. I will pursue Katalia and see if there is something to the pull that I feel for her. I am determined to continue to ask her to hang out with me, even if it kills me every time she rejects my offer. Chapter 12. Katalia POV. The next 2 weeks passed quickly. I spent my time attending training with my father, and when we were not on the field sparring, I was in his office with him learning the administration and paperwork aspect of being an alpha. I learned what is expected of the alpha and the type of problems that I would be expected to handle on my own. In my free time, most of which I did not have, Ollie and I would hang out, or I would hang out with my brothers. Every day, I would still attend the advanced training with the other potential warriors. My brother was still leading these sessions with Justin, since we had yet to announce that I was taking the alpha position. For the past week and a half, Justin has been relentless in asking me out at the end of training, and each time, I shoot him down with some excuse. Until 3 days ago, Michael finally pulled me aside after I shot Justin down again. Michael told me that he did not expect anything from me. Justin just wants to be friends with me. Michael had to remind myself that I cannot continually shut everyone out while I am alpha, and that Justin is a strong warrior, highly respected, and his parents were well respected within the pack, despite not having grown up here. I realized that Michael had a point. I couldn't continue to shut everyone out of my life just because of my trauma. Nothing had to happen that I didn't want to happen. Friends. People are still only friends these days, right? I am used to people expecting something out of you, no matter the relationship that has been developed. Men always expect something from women, but Justin has never done anything that led me to believe that he held those types of beliefs. So, I finally conceded. The next day, when he asked me, he assured me he only wanted to be friends and he did not expect anything from me. Today, Justin, Ollie, Michael, and I were going to go to one of the local coffee shops in the pack, down on Main Street, for some of their coffee and pastries. As I finished showering and putting my change of clothes on, Michael knocked on the locker room door, asking if I was ready. Coming, I yelled through the door at him. I raced to finish putting my hair up and throwing my shoes on before heading outside the locker room. When I exited, I saw all 3 boys standing there waiting for me. Aren't I special? I have 3 boys waiting for me. The 3 of them chuckle as we start to make our way towards Main Street. Usually, each pack has its own little town inside of the pack. In the towns, there are typically little shops and stores that are owned by pack members, giving the members of the pack a chance to support their friends, family, and fellow pack members. While we sometimes have to leave the pack for things that are not currently offered within the pack, for the most part, we shop locally. My family owns several businesses that help support our pack. Businesses that will be run by Elijah, Michael, and I. We even have pack members that work inside of our business offices, which is extremely helpful when there are things going on within the pack that cannot be ignored, making it to where the alpha has to handle it. My father did not have any siblings, so he is the sole owner of these businesses currently. Michael helps out when he can, but up until recently, Michael was pretty consumed with training to be the next alpha. Which shop did you want to go to, Kat? There is Zidlia's coffee shop or Rosemary's teas, herbs, and coffee. Justin asked me. I have been craving some of Zidlia's kringla. It is this Norwegian pretzel-shaped pastry with assorted toppings, typically chocolate or almonds. The best one is the one with chocolate, but sometimes if you are nice enough to Zidlia, or you just happen to be her favorite customer, she will make you one of the kringlas with both types of toppings. It is to die for. And she has good lats. I told them. Zidlia's grandmother, Ingrid, is Norwegian and passed down her family's recipes to Zidlia before she passed, when she learned that Zidlia loved to bake with the hope of one day opening her restaurant. What makes Zidlia's cafe interesting is the types of pastries that are served. Zidlia's dad is originally from Argentina and her mother is Norwegian, so Zidlia decided to honor both sides of her culture by having a variety of dishes from both countries. Michael laughs. Katalia, you have become obsessed with this woman's baking. If I did not know better, you would live there if you could. Hey now! You cannot deny the truth. Her pastries are to die for. You are just jealous you do not have her talent. I exclaimed as I stuck my tongue out at him. He walks past me and ruffles my hair while laughing. I glanced over at Justin and Oliver to see that they were both laughing at me. What can I say? I just love her pastries. We walk inside the door and the bell dings signaling that customers are walking in the door. The place is packed as I look around the room. See, I am not the only one that likes her pastries, I said as I walked past Michael, nudging him in the ribs, as I walked towards the line to place my order. As I stepped to the counter to place my order, Zidlia walked out from the back room. Her face lights up when she sees me. How is my favorite customer? She walks out from behind the counter and gives me a giant hug. These boys had better be treating my little lady right. I laugh as I hug her back. I guess they are doing an okay job, Mama Zidlia. She gives my shoulder a squeeze and walks back behind the counter to take my order. I want 2 kringlas, 1 almond and the other chocolate, and 1 of your vanilla lattes with 3 extra shots of espresso. Then, I am also getting whatever these 3 want too. Zidlia looked at the 3 boys behind me, appalled. That just won't do. Mama Zidlia is not going to allow you to come in here with 3 men and you pay for their food, even if one is your brother. So, which one of you is paying for the young lady's food and drink? I chuckle at Zidlia as Justin steps forward, stating that he will pay for everyone's order. Zidlia looks at Justin and gives him a nod of approval. Now, that's a real man compared to the other 2 buffoons you are traveling with. I looked at Justin and then glanced at the other 2 and laughed at them. I will pay you back for our food. I linked Justin, only for him to glance at me with a confused expression, but he didn't respond. Why can't you just let him pay for the food? Zidlia's right, you know. At the very least, Michael or Oliver could have offered to pay for your order, instead of you buying everyone's food. Sky tells me. I just laugh at my wolf. She firmly believes that chivalry is not dead. She has been nagging me constantly about being excited about finding my mate in less than 4 months, but honestly, I don't want a mate. Men only drag you down, they take what they want, without any consideration for your wants and needs, and that is just not something that I am able to handle right now. After receiving our food and drinks, we made our way to the only table, located in the back of the cafe. Most of our conversation consisted of Ollie and I poking fun at Michael and his weird little quirks, and Justin trying to get to know us better. I have never really talked to Justin and neither has Ollie, but Michael has hung out with him a few times after training. I get up to go throw away my trash and Justin follows me. As we reach the trash can, our hands reach the receptacle at the same time and brush against each other. I quickly yanked my hand back as tingles and sparks shot up my arm, leaving my hand tingling. Chapter 13. Justin's POV. As soon as my hand touched hers, sparks shot up my arm. As soon as she snatched her hand away, I immediately began to miss the feel of the sparks and tingles that were shooting up my arm. Sorry, it must be the static from the receptacle, she mumbled. Static. Of course. I must have imagined the sparks. That is the only logical explanation. Or was it? Of course, I assured her as we walked back to our seats. Are you ready to leave? I asked while looking at Michael and Oliver. I could tell that Katalia was avoiding talking and looking at me. I internally sighed. 1 step forward and 10 steps back with her. We leave the restaurant with Katalia waving goodbye to Zydlia on the way out. As we started to make our way back to the pack house, Michael and Oliver hung back 4 steps behind us, so we could talk. Real subtle guys. I mind-linked both of them. Just trying to help. You might need all the help you can get. Oliver says, chuckling through the mind link. I internally shake my head at them as my wolf laughs. You know, they aren't wrong, Justin. Kat is just as stubborn as you are, so you are gonna have to push in order to get to know her, but push enough as to not scare out of her, Aries tells me. So, Katalia, what are your plans once you finish high school next year? I asked her. Katalia hesitated before she responded to my question. You don't have to call me by my full name. You can call me Kat, most everyone in the pack does. It is weird having only you call me by my full name all the time. I honestly don't know what I want to do after high school. I thought about attending a university, strictly online, to obtain a business degree or even a psychology degree. I thought about being a counselor, so that I could help pack members that are struggling through trauma and maybe venture into the nearest human city to offer services to humans. But I don't know. With my brothers and I taking over the family businesses, it seems that it would only be logical for us to all have business degrees. I am not interested in business though. I know that business is expected of me, but what if I could go to school and receive a degree in something that could benefit the pack even further? I think you should go for counseling. I have watched you interact with other pack members, and you are kind and caring. I think the pack members would benefit from having you as a counselor to them. I understand that business is the most practical degree to obtain. You could always decide on a double major or a psychology major with a minor in business. I have seen others do things similar with different majors and minors. What about you? What are your interests? Have you always known that you were going to be a warrior? She asked me quietly. Not always. There was a time when I thought I wanted to be a doctor or a teacher. That changed on the day that my pack was attacked by rogues. I was 8 when the attack happened. There was a huge group of rogues that had attacked at once. We were surrounded on all sides. It was chaotic. There were warriors, along with the ranked females, that were trying to usher all the women, children, and the elderly into the safe rooms before the attack made it near the pack house. But they were not able to do it on time. The safe room was left open while we waited for the rest of the women to get to the room, and there was a rogue that slipped away from the rest. He found the safe room. I imagined he followed the sounds of the children crying and the hustle of the ranked women getting everyone into the room. I watched the first rogue rip into our Gamma female. I watched her bleed out, and then we all heard the howl from the Gamma when I imagined he felt her bond snap. I felt helpless. I wanted to help, but I was scared. I watched him fight Luna Natalie and I did not know how to help her. He killed 4 of the women and 8 children before the warriors finally broke through a window and killed him. That was the day I decided that I wanted to be a warrior. I never wanted to feel that helpless, useless, scared. After that day, I asked the Alpha to allow me to train with the kids that were preparing for their first shift. I was too young since we had to be 10 in order to begin that training. He hesitantly agreed. So, I went through training, and I advanced through the ranks quickly. I was already slated to be a warrior by the age of 14, then when I turned 16, my family told me that we were going to be moving to your pack and that they had already secured it with your Alpha that I was going to become a warrior in his pack once I hit legal age. Katalia was silent for a moment. I am sorry that you had to witness that at a young age. I can only imagine the impression that was left and the trauma and PTSD you endured when you watched your Gamma female get her throat ripped out and bleed out in front of you. While nothing that extreme has happened to me, I do know trauma and the effects that it has on people. If you would like, you can always talk to me about the trauma or what the experience was like. I have learned that sometimes the best ways to let go of the pain is to confide in someone. I smiled at her. I would like that, Kat. It would feel nice to have someone that I can talk to about it. After it happened, it was kind of brushed under the rug by the children that witnessed it. Between the funeral and the other stuff going on, the Alpha and the parents neglected to check on the children to see how they were holding up. Even though, as an adult now, it does not affect me the way that it used to. It used to be my driving force of pain and reason, but now I use it as a means to an end. A harsh reminder of what can happen in the blink of an eye, to live every second like it is your last, to love like you will never love again. We finally reach the pack house, and we part ways. As I headed to my room in the pack house, I started to think about the day and being able to talk to Kat without any type of explanation. It felt good being able to talk to her. It was easy. It felt natural. I was happy. It was like I had known her my entire life. I can see what the warriors in my old pack meant. Kat was definitely one of a kind. She made you relaxed. Calm. I can't wait to see what my future holds and whether I can convince her to be a part of it. Chapter 14. Katalia's POV. I finally made it home when my father called Michael and I went into his office. I wondered what he wanted. Far as I knew, everything was going fine. We walked into the house and took our usual seats. Kat. Michael. Thank you for coming to see me. I just wanted to let you know the status of telling the pack about the change in our hierarchy. I plan to hold a pack-wide meeting tomorrow. My father says to us. What about the elders? Are you telling them beforehand or are we just going to blindside them? Michael inquired. Well, I have decided that we are going to tell everyone at the same time. The elders cannot technically say anything about it. Who do I make as my successor does not concern them. Their role is to help guide the Alpha and the future Alpha. It does not necessarily mean that I have to obey everything that they ask of me, which I do not do. My father had a point. They are only there to guide the Alpha. They do not have the right to actually demand that the Alpha follow all their commands and whims. What if they decide that I am not fit for the role of Alpha? Everyone had become acclimated to the fact that Michael would be the next Alpha. Elijah and I have never been considered for it. Why would we be? Michael was, after all, the firstborn, even if Michael and my skill levels are matched. So, it is set. I expect both of you and Elijah to be there. Although I do not think it will be an issue, I expect you to support your sister. You and I both know that there will be some that fight back against the decision. Many of them will detest a female Alpha, especially the older generation. My father states before he dismisses us. Yes, Alpha. We responded as we walked out of his room. Are you nervous? Michael turned to ask me. I give him a small nod and he grabs my shoulder and gives me a small, reassuring squeeze. I promise it will all be okay. Dad and I will make sure of it. I mean, you could always kick them too, but that may not be the most diplomatic way to solve things. I laughed at Michael. He always has a way of making me smile, of making me feel better when I am scared. It is the next day and I had started to get ready for my father's announcement. Michael suggested that I wear something more on the formal side, so that the pack can see that I am serious about this. I personally think he wants me to dress up because Dad told him that he needed to wear something decent and not the usual t-shirts that he likes. Since he asked me to wear something formal, I decided that this called for a shopping trip. I finally arrived home and it was time for me to get dressed. I decided on a long, flowing turquoise, light blue flowing belted wrap dress. The back of the dress was longer than it was in the front. The dress is covered in nice, flowing flowers. It is low-cut enough to not be considered indecent, but enough to be considered elegant. I decided to wear the necklace that my parents gifted me on my 16th birthday. It had a nice, long chain and at the end of it was a wolf with dazzling blue eyes. My mother told me it reminded her of sky. I wore silvery white heels that had glitter on the top. I kept my makeup nice and simple, and I curled my hair and let it flow down my back. I looked into my floor-length mirror. We look gorgeous, Sky said as we looked into the mirror. Yes, we do. We looked phenomenal. I made my way downstairs and I saw my brother. I guess this was the closest to formal that he was going to get. Michael was wearing a black, short-sleeve button-up shirt and a pair of dark blue jeans with a pair of nice black shoes. While Elijah, on the other hand, is wearing something similar to a full suit. He is wearing a grey dress shirt, black dress pants, and black dress shoes. Elijah was always the better dressed of my two brothers. Elijah enjoyed wearing suits and formal attire, whereas Michael could care less. If you asked him, he would tell you that he would prefer something that is less formal and more dressed down. Michael used to make jokes that when he became Alpha, he would abolish formal attire from all events, unless you wanted to wear it, but nothing would be forced on pack members. Every time he brings it up, I just laugh at his silliness and tell him that he is being ridiculous. As I made it the rest of the way down the stairs, my father and mother turned to me. My mom walked to me and gave me a hug. "You looked beautiful, daughter," my mother whispered into my ear. My father looks at me, "Are you ready, Kat?" I silently nodded to my father as we made our way to the pack house. Usually, pack meetings take place in the back of the pack house. Those making any types of announcements, usually the Alpha, would be on the balcony, where the entrance is outside the Alpha's office in the pack house. I do not think that I have ever been with the regular pack members for announcements that my father made. Usually, we would wait on the balcony with him. Today, though, only my father and brother will be on the balcony with me. My mother and sister will be waiting at the door of the balcony. My father is worried, even if he will not admit it, about how the pack is going to take the change in leadership. As we stepped out onto the balcony, my eyes locked onto the front row. Justin and Oliver were in the front row. Oliver told me, "Keep your eyes on us. Let us be your safe space. You can do this, Kat. I believe in you." I locked eyes with Justin and he gave me a gentle smile and I nodded my head at him. After a few seconds, my father's voice boomed, effectively gathering the attention of every pack member, young and old. "We have a very important reason for meeting here today. My son, Michael, has decided that he no longer wants to step up as the future alpha of the White Fang pack. Instead, he chose his younger sister, Katalia, to take his place as your next alpha." Before my father could continue, the crowd had a mixed reaction. Some of the members, particularly the younger generation, began to cheer and were showing their excitement over me being their next alpha. While some of the members, mostly the elders and some older pack members, began to yell and shout their anger and disappointment over having a female alpha. "A woman cannot be alpha. She is not capable of running a pack. She is weak. You mean a Luna, right? Her mate will be alpha. Why her over Elijah? How can someone that is broken be alpha?" I gasped, shocked that someone had said I was broke. I didn't know that other pack members knew about what happened to me many years ago. The pain and trauma that I went through. I thought I hid it well, but I guess there were still many that saw my internal struggles. I continued to lock eyes with Oliver with my eyes glistening with tears. I willed myself not to let the tears fall. "I am not weak. I am strong. I can do this. I can cry later when I am not in front of them." Someone in the crowd growled and I looked to see who did it. It was Justin. Justin looked murderous. Before Justin could say anything, Oliver whispered something into his ear. My father's voice boomed, "That is enough. My daughter is not broken or weak. She has worked hard for this title." Katalia, Michael, and Elijah were all trained equally. Michael and Katalia's skill levels match perfectly and, oftentimes, fights between the two end in draws. I will not stand her and listen to you belittle my daughter just because she was not born as a male. Being a male or female should not and will not make a difference to who takes over as the next alpha of my pack. If you have a problem with it, you are more than welcome to come visit me tomorrow. Or you can leave. My decision is final and I will not change it based on the whims of pack members who do not understand the inner workings of the rank families. Chapter 15. Michael Sr. POV. As soon as I dismissed the pack, I stepped back into my office. Katalia walked past me, heading to my door. "Kat, they will come around." She looks at me, shakes her head, and I can see the tears building in her eyes. "No, they will not, but that is okay. I won't let them break me. I will be their next alpha and I will be good at what I do." She then walks off, gently shutting the door behind her. I looked at Elijah and asked him to go keep an eye on her and make sure she was truly okay. Elijah nodded his head and left the room to go find Katalia. This whole thing would have been hard for anyone. It is hard to believe my pack could have so little faith in my child. She is of alpha blood, and of course, she will be capable of running a pack. They just have to get out of the backwards mindset about the functions and use of women when it comes to pack hierarchy. I did find Justin's reaction when one of the pack members had shouted that she was too broken to be an alpha interesting. He looked downright furious. I could tell that he was ready for blood. It looks like someone might have a crush on Kat. I wonder how she will take that. There was a sudden knock on the door. I take a deep breath and sigh. I know what is coming. The elders have come to say their piece about Kot being alpha. Here goes nothing. Enter. The door opens and in walks the six-pack elders. Christopher, who is considered to be the head elder, was the first to walk into the room. Gentlemen, I can assure you that if you are coming in here to spout your nonsense about my daughter, then you can go ahead and leave. I do not have time for your nonsense. I stated coldly. Michael, please be reasonable about this. Katalia is a wonderful person, we are not refuting that, but she is a female. The only way that we can agree with this decision is if you assure us that you will not hand her the title and the pack, until she meets her mate and then her mate takes his rightful title as Alpha and Katalia takes her spot as the Luna. Christopher stated. I sighed. Christopher, I told you, I am not going to let you belittle my daughter. Kot is perfectly capable of running this pack, just like Elijah or Michael is. Michael wanted Kot to take his place and I saw nothing wrong with it. There have been times that I thought that maybe it would be better for Kot to do so, since she seems more capable than Michael. Not to mention, I recall telling you when my mate was pregnant with Michael that if he was born as a female, then she would become the rightful heir to this pack, since after all she would be my hypothetical firstborn. Benjamin, another one of the elders, interjected, after what happened to her, do you really think that she is capable of protecting this pack? She wasn't even able to protect herself. How can we really be sure that she will be able to protect an entire pack? She succumbed to her circumstances. As Alpha, you cannot do that. She isn't strong enough, she is too weak to lead a pack. A typical woman, ruled by I cut Benjamin off, growling at him, my aura pushing around the room. I see several of the elders flinch at the intensity that I am pushing my aura. Enough. My daughter is not weak. She was assaulted. That would FK with anyone. How dare you come in here and insinuate my daughter is less than because she was assaulted? What if it was your daughter? God forbade anything to happen to Alia. Would you call her weak? Shame her? All because of circumstances that were outside of her control? Get out of my office, all of you. I have had enough of your insinuations about you know nothing about. Don't you dare come back until you are able to act accordingly. As the last one gets ready to walk out my office, Christopher turns to me, we are trying to offer you our advice. We did not mean to offend you or insult Katalia. We are just trying to look out for the best interests of the pack. I walk behind my desk, sit in my chair, and place my head in my hands. What can I do to make them see that Katalia is the best for this position? How can I show them that Katalia is more than her trauma? My office door is slightly open and I smile softly at the scent. Jasmine and sandalwood. Isabella, my mate, walked into the room. She walks to me at my desk, and I push my desk and pull her into my lap. I press my face into the crook of her neck, and I deeply inhale her scent. How much did you hear? I quietly asked her. The entire pack house heard. The door was left open, and we heard everything. I am hoping Katalia either wasn't in the pack house or had her door shut to whatever room that she was in. Do not let what the elders say get to you. They do not know what they are talking about. You and I both know that we raised a wonderful, caring, and strong daughter. She can handle anything life throws at her. She pauses waiting for me to interrupt, but when I don't, she continues, I think one of the warriors has a crush on Katalia. When Benjamin started spouting him, he stormed out of the pack house. He was shaking pretty badly, barely made it outside before he shifted into his wolf. I laughed, you are probably talking about Justin. He was the one that had growled when someone made their comment about her being weak during the announcement. He looked like he was going to attack someone then too. She laughed with me. I guess only time will tell, love. Let's go check on Kot and then head home and go to bed. She did tell me that she was going to stay at the pack house. I thought Oliver was going to stay with her. He looked like he didn't want to leave her when I saw them together earlier. I really should be concerned about how much time Oliver and Kot have been spending together at night. That's a concern for another day, I guess. Chapter 16. Katalia POV. I wanted to go to my room in the pack house and just lay there, but that did not seem like an option. I had just watched Christopher and the rest of the elders head for my father's office, so I decided that I would sneak through the hidden alcove where Michael, Elijah, and I used to watch all of Dad's top secret meetings. As I started to head to the room that would allow me to look into Dad's office, Elijah and Oliver stopped me. Katalia, I really do not think you should be in there to hear what they are going to say. You do not need negativity. Please don't do this to yourself. Elijah said, blocking my path into the room. I just need to know their opinions, Eli. I promise, I will not let them break me. I responded quietly. Oliver and Elijah both looked at me as if they were contemplating something. Oliver and Elijah simultaneously sighed. Oliver finally spoke, fine, but we are coming in there with you. You are not allowed in there by yourself, and if we think for 1 minute that you are going to break you down, we will take you out of there. Remember, the elders are not the ones that are overall in charge of the pack, they can only make things difficult for you, but we will be there for you the entire way. We walked into the alcove that allowed us to view and listen into my father's office. I see my father at his desk and the rest of the elders finished piling into his office. After my father tells them that he will not sit there and listen to them belittle me, Christopher is the first one to speak his mind about what all the elders were thinking. Michael, please be reasonable about this. Katalia is a wonderful person, we are not refuting that, but she is a female. The only way that we can agree with this decision is if you assure us that you will not hand her the title and the pack, until she meets her mate, and then her mate takes his rightful title as Alpha and Katalia takes her spot as the Luna. Christopher stated. I scoffed. Of course, they would try to start out by saying that I was such a great person, but the fact remains that I am female. I never in a million years thought that it meant that I would be held back for something. Are we still living in the early 1900s? I continued to listen to the elders belittle me because I simply was not a man, but my rage reached an all-time high when they tried to use me as a means of not giving me a title that is rightfully mine, if I so choose to have it, which I did. I was so mad that I felt the beginning prickles of tears in the back of my eyes. What is wrong with them? Who gave them the right to judge how I chose to handle my trauma? Oliver looked at me and noticed the tears in my eyes. Come on, Kot, he whispered, you do not need to hear the rest of this. Come on, I numbly followed them out of the room. We made our way to the alpha floor and went to my usual room. I looked at both of them and I hesitantly asked, would you two mind leaving me alone for the rest of the night? I think I need to be alone to do some soul searching. Elijah and Oliver looked at each other and shook their heads simultaneously. Elijah is the one to break the silence. Kot, you do not need to be alone with your thoughts. I know how self-destructing your thoughts can be. Your choices are Oliver, me, or both of us to stay with you. I thought for a second. Oliver is usually my safe space, however, I think right now I want Eli. I looked at Eli and nodded my head towards him. Ollie, I think that I will just let Eli stay with me for a little bit. You can go home and be with your family or stay in your room on the beta floor. I promise I will be fine, and Eli will make sure I am before he leaves my room. I promise. I linked him. If that is what you want, Kat, then I will do it. If you need me, you can call me or link me, and I will come back. Love you, Kat, he responded. I nodded my head in response to acknowledge that I heard what he said. Eli and I walked into my room. I am going to go shower. Be out in a few, I mumbled. I walked to the closet and grabbed some of the sleeping shorts and t-shirts that I keep on there for occasions such as this, and then I made my way to the bathroom. I shut the door and locked it. I turned the water on and made sure it was scorching hot. I stood under the stream for a few minutes before I leaned against the wall and slid my body down, so I was sitting in the tub, letting the water run down my body. My eyes began to water, and the tears started to flow. How can they think that I would not be a good leader because of circumstances beyond my control? I was raped. I did not want it to happen. I fought for days, weeks, months just to get to some sense of normalcy. I still only see a ghost of my former self before the assault, but I am still me. I am just harder, not as trusting. I am stronger than I was then. Straight, we are stronger. I will never allow anything to happen to you like that again. You have me now. We will fight together. You can lean on me. We are not a product of your trauma. We can and we have risen about that. Do not let what elders say affect you and what you can do. You will go out there and show them that you are the best of the best and you have every right to this title. The same way that Elijah and Michael have the right to the title. Sky said to me aggressively. Once the tears slowed down to only hiccups, I stood in the shower and began to slowly finish my shower. I lathered my hair in my coffee-scented shampoo and conditioner. I washed my body in my strawberry body wash. I stepped out of the shower, wrapped myself in my towel, and looked at myself in the mirror. I looked pretty bad. My eyes were swollen and puffy from the crying. My cheeks were bright and rosy from the heat of the shower. I slowly began to get dressed. Kat, is everything all right? You have been in there an awfully long time. Elijah asked me. Everything is fine. I am getting dressed now. I hollered back. I finished getting dressed in my shorts and tee, disposed of my dirty clothes in the hamper, and then walked into my room, heading for my big king-sized bed in the middle of the room. Chapter 17. Elijah looked at me as I sat on the bed. He decided that he was going to sit in the armchair in the middle of the room. We sat there in silence for what felt like a lifetime. Elijah finally breaks the silence. Are you ready to talk about it? Or are we going to sit in silence for the rest of the night? I contemplate telling him what is going through my head, but I honestly have no idea how I am going to put all of my thoughts into words. How do the elders get to decide that my trauma will prevent me from being a good alpha? How does the fact that I would not be as good as Michael or you? Elijah sits in silence for a moment, contemplating his words, before responding. It does not determine how good of an alpha you will be. You are not your trauma. Your trauma does not define you. It does not determine what you get to do with your life. I can already see that you are going to be one of an alpha. Plus, I do not like the idea of me being thrown into the role of alpha. I like my fun. I like my pranks. And I love to get under Dad's skin. If I became alpha, then I would have to chill out on my way, and we both know I am not going to stop anytime soon. I laughed at Elijah. He is right. He enjoys his fun way too much and he loves to piss Dad off just for of it. Kat, you know he is right. We are stronger than what your trauma is. We are true alpha female. We can and we will do this. FK the elders. FK what they think. The only thing that matters is how we feel and how we think. We may not be a man, but they can skr non-existent DK. We may not be a king, but we will be a queen. Sky remarked. Do you think they will try to make me find a mate and make him alpha instead of me? I asked Eli. He laughed. I can only imagine someone trying to force you to do something that you do not want to do, sis. You are strong and you do not need a man to stand by your side. If your mate comes along, then that is great, but you do not have to let your mate become alpha and you Luna. Can I tell you something with zero judgment? I hesitantly asked. Of course. You can ask me anything. I might judge you, but at least you will know I am judging you with an honest opinion. I do not want a mate. If I meet my fated mate, then I am going to reject him. I do not need a man. Men only take from you. I cannot trust a man. I do not want to trust a man. And I absolutely do not want a mate. Sky and I never disagree about anything. We are usually perfectly in sync, but she wants her mate. She wants the goddess to be given a mate that was meant for her, but I do not. I will reject him, even if it kills us. I am hoping that I honestly never find him, so I do not have to deal with Sky's heartbreak. Sky is eager for my 17th birthday. She is repeatedly telling me that she can sense that our mate is nearby, but I honestly do not care. I do not want him. I finished in a rush. Elijah looked at me sympathetically. Katalia, you cannot let what those scumbags did to you ruin your perception of all men. We are not all like that. Your mate is destined to love you, to protect you, to nurture your hopes and dreams, and above all, he is your other half. How can you reject something like that? I will always stand by your decisions, sis, but I do not know if I can stand by and watch you destroy something that could be the best thing for you. What if your mate happened to Oliver? Have you considered what would happen to him if you rejected him? Newsflash, sis. The boy is in love with you. You are the only one that is too blind to see it. Are you really willing to hurt your best friend because you are scared? I could visibly see that Elijah was getting pissed off. He started to shake, and he was raising his voice at me. I never considered the possibility that Oliver was my mate. The thought never crossed my mind. Would I be able to reject him? I do not want to hurt him, but I do not want anyone. I never have, at least not since I was attacked, and I cannot see myself starting now, even if it was Ollie. Maybe instead of rejecting the bond, we could decide to just let it fester. What am I even thinking? I know Ollie is not my mate. There is no way that he is my mate. And I knew he loved me, but it was just a crush. His feelings for me have gone away. Right? He was even talking to one of the she-wolves from a neighboring pack. I laid on my bed and stared at the ceiling for what felt like hours. Elijah did not say one word, he let me think in silence. When I finally looked over at him, I realized that Elijah had fallen asleep in my armchair and that is why he was so silent. I got up and went to my closet and pulled a blanket out and draped it over my brother. I climbed back on my bed and lay there, continuing to contemplate what I would do if Ollie was my mate. Would it really be so bad to accept my mate? No, Kot, it would not be bad to accept our mate. Our mate is meant to love us and cherish us. Plus, you never know, he may be able to help us overcome our trauma. It is time that you admit that you are not over it. You just hide your pain and there is only so long that you can continue to hide your pain. You have people that love you. People that care about you. It is about time you saw that and stopped trying to hide. I will admit the elders were kind of right about one thing. You let your trauma run through you, which can hinder you as an alpha. I hope we find our mate, and I will do everything I can to convince you not to reject our mate. I want to at least give it a try. You do not need to accept him immediately, just try. For me. Please. I can hear the sadness in Sky's voice. I knew that she wanted her fated mate and I did not want to hurt her, but the fact is, I am scared. How can I bring someone in when I cannot get over the constant nightmares? The fear that I have when I am around males? And God is forbid, what if my mate is some type of macho who thinks he can control me? I can't promise that it will be easy for me, Sky, but for you I will try. It would be hard for me to accept anyone, even if it was Oliver. I would rather be alone for the rest of my life, but I know that you want your fate and it would not be fair of me to take away your chance of happiness. I will try to wait before rejecting our fate. I will try to give whoever he is a chance, even if it kills me. I finally said. Sky and I always agreed, except when it came to a fated mate. I used to want my fated mate. The thought of having someone that would love me, just like my dad loved my mom, excited me. Until that day. That was the day that I realized men were. I was violated. Abused. Broken. The goddess only knows what would have happened to me if Michael and Oliver had not shown up when they did. With those thoughts, I was finally able to succumb to the darkness. Chapter 18. The next 6 months passed quickly. I continued training and working hard to become the best alpha that I could become. The elders continued to push back. They did not think I was capable of ever becoming an alpha. They thought that it was okay to let me maintain the title until my mate came along and then the right should go to my mate. I still think that. I do not need my mate to take my role. Sky and I still struggled with seeing eye to eye with the idea of having a mate, but I promised her I would try and think before giving her a rejection. I continued to try and branch out into the pack. I started with the warriors. I knew most of them from training and it was easier to be around them. I continued to hang out with Justin, but I would only hang out with him if Oliver, Michael, or Elijah were present. Even though, Elijah did not always like hanging out around us, which I understood, since there was a small age gap between Michael, Justin, and Elijah. However, if I asked Elijah to, he would come and hang out with us, so I would not be alone with him. This was an improvement in itself, since before I did not even like talking to anyone of the male population. It was now the day before my 17th birthday. The day before, I can officially find my mate and I was nervous. After the day that my father announced that Michael was stepping down and I was taking his place, Elijah had not said anything else about my fated mate and rejected them. I could tell that Elijah did not approve of me rejecting a mate, but it was also not his decision. If I found my mate tomorrow, what would I do? I was heading to my father's office. The elders decided they finally wanted a meeting with me, instead of just talking about everything with my father. I told my dad if they wanted to continue to badmouth me, then they could at least grow a pair of balls and tell me to my face. Once I reached my father's office, I opened the door and walked in. My father was sitting behind his desk, and I made my way to the couch in his office. The elders were already present, and Christopher scoffed when I walked into the room. See? No manners, Michael. Your daughter just barged into your office with no manners, and you did not even say one word about her disrespect towards you. Christopher sneered towards my father. Oh! Christopher is going to piss off the wrong person today. I can already see my father's face, he is angry. Christopher, first, you will address me as my title, which is Alpha, in case you have forgotten. That is showing me disrespect. Next, you and I both know that she has every right to walk in, since she is going to be the future alpha. You never said one word when Michael would come into my office without knocking. Also, for all you know, she could have mind-linked me for permission to enter my office. Christopher, I am not going to handle your disrespect today. You will respect my daughter and I when you are in my office. I could tell that my father was warning Christopher to watch his mouth without actually threatening him. Elder Christopher, I am sorry if you think I meant disrespect. I know the rules and my father told me that I did not need to knock when entering his office, especially since this meeting you called involves me as well. I quietly stated. Christopher just glared at me. Benjamin picked this time to intervene and start the meeting. Katalia, Alpha. I am sure you are wondering why we decided to actually hold this meeting, since you think it might be futile. We are still concerned about Katalia's ability to effectively lead our pack as a female. We have decided that there is one thing that would appease us and show that Katalia had the will and ability to lead us. My father and I looked at each other. I raised my eyebrows. Let's hear them out, Kat. What is the worst they could want you to do? My father linked me. I nodded my head at him and looked at Benjamin to continue. Elder Remington took over from Benjamin. We want you to compete in a small competition to see if you really have what it takes to become alpha. An alpha needs to be strong and fierce. We worry that you lack that. First, we want you to go against some warriors that we choose. If you are able to defeat all the warriors, then we want you to go against both of your brothers. Elijah now has his wolf and, from what I have heard, he has been succeeding in training and surpassing many others, so it would be a fair fight. Elijah and Michael are fierce fighters, and we would be nearly satisfied if you were able to take them on. We, also, want to see how you compare against the future beta. Lastly, if the alpha and beta agree, we want to see how you compare to them together. So, we will insist that you take the two of them on at once. Of course, we would allow you a small break in between each battle and the fights can take place over the course of several days if it is needed. This is what we feel is needed to make sure that you are capable of protecting our pack. I looked at father and I laughed. Of course. They wanted me to essentially fight a shit ton of people to prove my worth, not that I was worried about that. I have taken down at least half of the warriors so far. I just don't understand why this is necessary. Michael never had to prove himself like that. Why do I have to? What are you thinking? My father liked me. Why is any of this necessary? They never even questioned Michael and his ability to lead. I have no qualms about fighting whoever they want me to fight. I am confident in my abilities, but do you think this is necessary, Alpha? You are right. This should not be necessary, Katalia, but it might be the only thing that will appease them. You know that Beta Damon and I will not be able to take it easy on you? And I already know your brothers will not go easy on you, but that is not a concern, you spar with them all the time. I think you can do it, Kat, and if it gets them off your back, then I think it is worth it. I know that it is not fair. Once you become alpha, you can work on dissolving the elder system for the pack or at the very least replacing some of the old hags. Fine, Alpha. I will do it. I looked at Elder Remington. Fine, I will do it. Can it at least wait until after my birthday? That would also give you time to get it set up, since I am sure that you want to make sure the entire pack is present for this challenge. Are you planning to have any extra guests attend this? I inquired. Remington, Benjamin, and Christopher all looked at each other and I could tell they were mind-linking each other. Christopher was the first to speak. Since this is going to be an official challenge, there are a few extra people that will be invited. Most likely there will be several nearby alphas present, plus the Leaken King Lucas and his mate. If I remember correctly, Lucas has a guardian, and he will come with King Lucas. We will also invite one of the guardian elders. We can give you a week from today, since it will take about that long to get everything set up and coordinate with all the appropriate channels. We will need to speak with Beta Daemon and see if he agrees to the fight with you and handpick our list of warriors. Guardians. The Guardians were a set of elite protectors. Typically, they are sent to protect any supernatural creature that has warranted some form of protection. The bond that a Guardian and their charge has is said to run extremely deep, but only those that have been granted a Guardian get one. The Guardians have a ranking system as well. When you are first picked to join them, you start as a protector. If you prove yourself, you are then ranked as a Guardian, and then you can become an Elder. From Elder, you can become a High Elder. I have never met anyone from the organization or anyone that has been warranted a protector, but it made sense that the Leaken King in this region would have one. They, also, help with mates, with keeping them together, since it is said that we are stronger with our mates. So, it is set. We will meet again in a few days' time. You will give us the list of warriors that you plan on having Katalia fight and a list of those that will be entering my territory, so we can make sure the proper security measures and accommodations are handled. Chapter 19. The elders left my father's office and I waited for them to shut the door before I said anything. How many warriors do you think they are going to make me fight? I asked as soon as the door shut. Probably at least 10, plus your brothers, Oliver, myself, and Beta Daemon. I wish you did not have to do this, but I am confident that you will be able to do it. But, starting the day after your birthday, we are going to increase your training regime. I am going to talk to Gamashan and see about bringing 5 random warriors into your training and have you fight them at the same time. Maybe I will switch up the warriors each day, just so you do not get used to them and their fighting styles. Then, I will see how you fare against Gamashan and I at the same time. I will have Beta Daemon observe the fight between the Gamma, you, and me. Yes, Alpha. I am going to go ahead and go to my room. I need some rest. The elders have given me a major headache. I made my way from my father's office and headed to my room in the pack house. I was not in the mood to deal with my brother's or my mother's questions if I went home. I lay on my bed and got lost in my thoughts. Before I knew it, I succumbed to the darkness. I woke up and the sun was shining through the curtains. I rolled to my side and grabbed my phone. 6 a.m. I slept all day. I am shocked that no one came here to try and wake me up. Usually, my mom would have tried or at the very least wake me up with a link to ask where I was. I got out of bed and grabbed a sports bra and some short leggings and made my way into the shower. I let the hot water rush over my body as I contemplated my day. I knew I needed to hurry, so I could make it to training on time, but I was nervous. Today is my birthday. I was worried that I would find my mate. I do not want to be a disappointment to my family or to Sky, and I definitely don't want to see disappointment or even hope in my mate's face. I doubt my father is going to let me hang out in my room all day and avoid the world. I guess it is time to face the music. I finished my shower and got dressed. I made my way to the kitchen and grabbed an apple before beginning my walk to the training grounds. As I get halfway to the training ground, I catch the most amazing aroma. The fresh scent of orange blossom and sandalwood is wafting towards me and it smells so good. Mate! Mate! Go find mate! Sky began yelling in my head. I am not ready, Sky, please. You promised, Katalia. I want to know who my mate is. You either take me willingly or I will force control over your body, so that I can see who my mate is. Fine, fine. Only glimpses. We do not stop and talk to him. Fine. Sky huffed. I could tell she was going to be sulking the rest of the day if she did not get to see who the unlucky man was to receive us as a mate. I continued to follow the wonderful scent of sandalwood and orange blossom. It was leading me towards the outhouse by the training grounds. I made my way inside and I stopped right outside the men's locker room. The door opens. Mate. Mate, Sky screeches in my head. She is being so loud I can't concentrate. This can't be. He can't be my mate. I don't need a mate. I turned around and I took off, running back to the pack house. Dad, I am not feeling well, I am going to lay down. Can we cancel training for this morning and maybe reschedule this afternoon? Sure, sweetie. Happy birthday, Kot. He responded. I did not respond back. I continued to run until I reached my room. I threw myself into the room and locked the door. I slid down the door and started crying. Justin's POV, the Gamma asked me if I could attend Kat's Alpha training today, so that she can spar with other people that do not include the Gamma or Alpha. I had happily agreed. I went to the outhouse that held the locker rooms on the training grounds. As I was getting ready to leave the locker room, I caught the most amazing scent. Vanilla and espresso. My mate. She was near. Aries started to go crazy in my head. Mate. 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 Mate is outside the door. Okay, I get it. Calm down, you heathen. I told him. He was physically jumping up and down in excitement. I opened the door, and I froze. Kot stood at the other side of the door. Kot is my mate. I was happy about this, but she looked anything but. She was terrified. I went to reach out for her, but she took off running. Not even 5 minutes after Kot ran, Gamma Shan linked me to tell me Kot was not feeling well, so we were going to reschedule training for this afternoon. She did not want me. Aries whimpered in my head. Mate does not want us, Aries cried in my head. I am going to fix this. Don't worry about it, Aries. She will not reject us, and if she does, I will not stop pursuing her. Eventually, she will accept that we are hers and she is ours. I tried to comfort my wolf, but I was not sure it was going to work. Who can I talk to about this? I have no idea where Kot went, but I do not want to physically force her to see us on her birthday. Alpha, can I meet with you in your office? With Michael. Hopefully this worked. I needed to tell someone, and who is best to tell besides those that know her the best? Sure, Justin. I am heading to my office now and Michael is already with me. Is everything all right? I do not know right now. I want it to be all right, but I do not think it is. The Alpha never responded after that. I continued to make my way to his office, praying to the moon goddess that they would be able to give me some insight into Katalia. As I made my way to his office, I contemplated what I was going to say to him. This was not an easy topic to broach. In one sense, they should be happy that Kot found her mate, but at the same time, should I even be the one to tell them? If it was not for the fact that I do not know how to handle her or how to approach the topic with her, then I would not even tell them. Unfortunately, I do not know what sort of trauma Kot has faced. She does not like talking about herself. She prefers to ask me questions or talk about neutral things, such as the weather or training. I knocked on the office when I got there, and the Alpha told me to come in. I slipped into the room and took a seat in one of the chairs across from Alpha and Michael. What's going on, Justin? You sounded a little distressed when you linked me. The Alpha asked me. I just need advice and you two are the best to give me advice on this specific topic. I would not come to you if I did not think that it was something that I could handle on my own, but I am scared that I am going to FK this up and I do not want to FK it up. What is going on, Justin? Michael asked me. I found my mate. That's great. Congratulations. What seems to be the problem then? Michael and the Alpha said at the same time. Normally, that would be great, and I am happy to have found her. She does not want me though. Once she saw who her mate was, she took off running. I do not even know where she went. Who is it? Katalia. I watched as both of their faces fell when I told them who my mate was. I knew it was going to be bad, but I did not think they would react like that. Justin, do not take it to heart. Katalia does not mean to be like that. She is scared, terrified of having a mate. She does not know how to handle one. Her trauma. I cut off the Alpha as he started to make excuses for her. I understand she has trauma, but that does not help me. No one will tell me what kind of trauma I have to deal with. I have been trying to get to know Kat for an entire year. She does not open up. She does not want to talk about herself. And damn it, broke, she ran off today before I could even say one word to her. I know she is broken. I know she is struggling. I just want her to let me in, so I can help her. I want her. I wanted her before I knew she was my mate and now I just want her more, but she does not want me. I know this is not fair to you, Justin, but this is not our story to tell. Kat needs to tell you what happened to her. I will not break her trust like that. I am sorry. I know, I keep telling you to give her time, but she needs it. She is not going to trust easily, and she is not going to give her love easily, Michael said. I can tell that it is going to be a lot of work to convince Katalia to come around. I just pray that she does not reject me before I can convince her that I will not hurt her, that I will love and cherish her. My daughter is difficult, stubborn, but she has a heart of gold. I promise she will not hold out forever. From now on, I want you to be one of the warriors to attend Alpha training with her. This will allow you to spend time with her. I will pretend that I do not know who her fated mate is and Michael will not say anything either. We will let Kat come to us. Please, promise me you will not tell anyone that you two are mates until she is ready. The elders will have a field day if they realize that she has found her mate. They will try to force her to mate with you and I do not want her to be forced. I want it to be something that she truly wants. The Alpha quietly stated. I could see his worry for his daughter. I worried about whether I could actually do this. I nodded my agreement. I will not tell anyone about us until she is ready. I will be whatever she needs right now, even if that means being a friend. Chapter 20. Katalia POV. I do not know how long I have been lying here on my floor. I do not want a mate. I cannot handle a mate. How does someone like me even be a mate? Why, Justin? It would have been easier if it had been someone that I did not know, that I had not spent the past several months getting to know him. Justin was a nice guy, but he is too nice for me. I would break him. I feel like someone is trying to force a mind link. I opened up my mind, just to receive a link from my father. Kat, we went ahead and rescheduled training for today at 3 p.m. I cannot wait to see you. Also, your mother expects you at dinner tonight. You know how she is. Yes, Dad. I responded quietly. Kat, is everything all right? You seem kind of down. Yeah, I am just tired. I did not sleep well last night. See you later, Dad. Love you. I love you too, honey. After he responded, I cut the link. I sat on the ground for a few more minutes before I had the courage to get off the ground to go take another shower and clean my face. Once in the bathroom, I looked in the mirror. My face was red, and my eyes were bright red and puffy. I looked like shit. Once I finished showering and cleaning my face, I put back on my training clothes and checked the time. 2:30 p.m. I guess I had better head down to the training grounds. Hopefully, I do not run into Justin again. At least, I hope not. I make my way through the pack house, and as I am exiting, Elijah runs up to me, picks me up, and swings me in a circle. Happy birthday, Kat. I giggled as he sat me back on the ground. I turned around and saw Michael catching up with us. Are you heading to training? Michael asked. Yes, we rescheduled training this morning because I was not feeling well. We are heading down as well. Dad has requested that both of us attend today with you. Elijah informed me. As we got closer to the training grounds, I caught a whiff of his scent. Sandalwood and orange blossom. My heart starts beating erratically. My breathing becomes labored. I stopped in my tracks and just started at the training grounds. I could not bring myself to move forward. Kat, are you okay? Michael asked me. I could not hear him, it was like he was speaking through a tunnel. All I could think about was his scent and how he was on the training grounds. I cannot train with him, but I cannot tell them the reason that I can't do it. They will not understand my struggle. Sky, please give me some of your strength to get through this without losing my shit. Please do not attack him. Please promise me you will not do anything to acknowledge the bond. Let me wrap my head around this, and then I promise you I will try not to reject him. I will try to let you be happy, even if it means that I am not. I whispered in my head to Sky. Kat, I love you. You are a part of me just as I am a part of you. I do not want you to be unhappy. Yes, I want my mate, but I know you need time. I know your trauma. We share your trauma. I will refrain myself today during training, but I do not know how long I will be able to refrain myself before I want my mate. I respect you and your wishes. I promise. As Sky said the last word, I felt her strength flow through me. My heart slowed down to a slow thump. My breathing evened out and I was able to focus on my surroundings. Michael was standing in front of me, gripping my shoulders. I blinked a few times and then I opened my mouth. I am fine. Sorry, I just forgot something that I needed to do. Let's go. Michael and Elijah glanced at each other, as if they did not believe me, before nodding their heads at me. We finished walking the rest of the way to the training field. Once I stepped inside the circle of the training grounds, I was able to clearly see the figures that were standing on the training grounds. Right there, standing in the middle of the field talking to my father and Gamashan was Justin. As soon as I stepped into the proximity of the training field, Justin's eyes snapped to me. He gave me a small smile, which I could not bring myself to return. I felt someone pushing on my mind link, but I did not want to open it. I had a feeling it was going to be Justin trying to talk to me, but I was not ready yet. Please Kat, just see what he has to say. Sky pleaded with me. I sighed internally. This wolf was going to be the death of me. I hate when she pleads and gives me those puppy dog eyes. Against my better judgment, I opened my link and Justin linked me. Kat, can we please talk after training? I will keep my distance from you. I just want to talk about this. We can take it as slow as you want. Please just don't reject me until you have the chance to get to know me better, he pleaded with me. I looked into his eyes, and I hated seeing his sadness staring back at me. Guilt was starting to gnaw at me the longer I stared into his eyes. I nodded my head in his direction, but I did not respond to him. As I reached the rest of the group, my father turned around and smiled at me. What did you do, invite half the warriors to train with us? I asked my dad sarcastically. Actually, no, I did not. Most of these warriors are about to leave. They were only hanging out since their training had just ended. Only Jacob, Justin, and your brothers will be staying for your training, he responded. I internally groaned. Of course, Justin was staying for training. We are going to be starting with you fighting Justin, and then Jacob will randomly throw himself into a fight. For this spar, you do not need to remain in human form, you may shift to your wolf. I nodded my head in acknowledgement towards my father. I do not think I am going to let Sky shift. That could just end badly for me. I am not sure if Sky will be able to control herself around Aries, Justin's wolf. Go ahead and take your stances, Gamma Shan said to Justin and I. Justin and I took our stances across from each other. At the sound of the Gamma's whistle, I launched myself at Justin, aiming to punch him in his jaw. He dodged my attack at the last second. He twisted his body out of the way of my oncoming attack and then used his right hand to punch me in the nose. I felt the slight feel of sparks along my face where he hit me, followed by the gushing of my blood. Justin looked horrified at what he did to my face. While Justin was distracted by the damage that he had done to my face, I went in for the attack again, using a big, right overhand punch. As Justin was blocking my attack, I used my left shoulder and shoved it into Justin's shoulder, making him stumble backwards. Before he could recover, I swiped my legs, but I lost my footing, and I fell with him, landing right on top of him. Sparks were flying all over my skin, everywhere that Justin had touched me, tingles rushing up my arms. I froze. Could I really do this? Could I really hurt my own mate? Before I could move again, Justin flipped us over, so that he was straddling me. Chapter 21. Justin held my hands above my head and smirked at me. My breath catches in my throat, and I am suddenly finding it hard to breathe. I struggled to break free from his grasp. I took my leg up and kneed him in the groin. He rolled off of me, groaning in pain. I jumped to my feet just as Jacob joined the fight. Jacob rushed me and I was barely able to get my hands up to block his attack on my face. Justin gets back onto his feet and both of them are blocking me into a corner. Sky, I am going to shift. Please control yourself, I told my wolf as Justin and Jacob ran at me. I jump into the air, feeling the sensation of my bones breaking as I land behind them. Justin was staring at me in awe, while Jacob wasted no time going in for the attack. Jacob rushes to me and I move my body to dodge out of the way of his attack. I whipped around and caught Jacob's left leg in my mouth. She bit down hard, causing Jacob to scream in pain as he collapsed on the ground. Justin runs at me and shifts midran. Aries goes in for the attack, aiming for Sky's throat. I ducked out of the way but I was not quick enough. Aries was able to knock Sky down, wrapping his mouth around her neck lightly. I broke from Aries' hold and backed up a few steps. He ran at us again and this time Aries latched onto Sky's right flank and bit down, hard. I let out a loud growl and winced at the pain. I shrugged the pain away as I fought to release Aries' hold on my flank. Once free, I pulled Sky forward with me, trying to figure out how we were going to get out of this. Sky, if we can manage to break one of his flanks, knock him down, and then go for the throat, we may be able to get him to submit. As long as Jacob doesn't get back up. I glanced over at Jacob, and it looked like he was down and out. His arm was slowly healing, but it was not going to be enough. I must have gotten him pretty deep. He will probably need to be temporarily sedated and given a few dissolvable stitches. I saw Gamashan make his way towards Jacob, probably to assess his injuries and get him to the pack hospital. I turned back towards Justin and focused all my attention on him. I ran towards Justin, and he went to jump over me. As his body sprung above me, I jumped and grabbed a hold of his left flank. I bit down hard and yanked him toward the ground. I hear his bones snap as Justin lets out a loud whine. As he fell to the ground, I leaped towards him, aiming for his throat. I latched onto his throat gently and pushed him towards the ground. I gently squeezed his throat in a warning to submit. He hesitated for a second before Ares bared his throat to me in submission. I released his throat and backed away from him. "Shift," my father commanded. Justin shifted back and pulled the pants on that Gamashan handed to him. Before I could even shift back, Justin walked towards me with his shirt he had discarded earlier. "When you shift back, I am going to put the shirt on you. Please don't fight me on this." Justin mind-linked me. I looked around and noticed that everyone had turned around, besides Justin. I nudged Justin's hand and pointed my head at him. He understood what I meant and turned around before I shifted. I felt the familiar sensation of my bones breaking. Once I shifted, I quickly pulled Justin's shirt on before letting everyone know they could now turn around. "Well done, Katalia. I did not think that you would actually shift. Poor Jacob has to have stitches from where you tore into his arm. He is not healing as quickly as he needs to in order to stop the blood flow. I know we had originally decided that we were not going to train on your birthday, but with the upcoming events, I think this worked out well. And Justin, you held yourself well against Katalia. Both of you need to go to the pack doctor and get checked out, make sure all of your injuries heal to the fullest, especially your leg Katalia, Justin got you pretty good." I looked down at my leg and noticed the dark purple bruises, and in the center of the bruises was a long gash that was oozing blood. Now that he mentioned it, I could feel the pain radiating from my leg. I guess I probably should head to the pack doctor. I glanced over at Justin and looked at the gash that was on his arm, and then I looked at the bite that was a little further up his arm. Yeah, I got him pretty good. I was actually shocked that Sky allowed me to hurt him as I did. I figured she would stop me since he was her mate. "Yes, Alpha." Justin and I responded together. We fell into step with each other and started our walk to the pack hospital. For the first few minutes, it was silent and I was waiting for Justin to say something to break the silence. "You did really good out there, Katalia. I am impressed," Justin said softly. "You did not do too badly yourself." "I was sort of shocked that you were able to keep up with me," I responded. He laughed, and Goddess did his laugh sound so good. I do not know what it was about his laugh, but I was washed in warmth and I felt tingly. "I am sorry about your leg. I did not mean to hurt you. I was kind of pissed at Ares when he latched on," Justin told me. "It is fine, as was expected. I did not expect you to take it easy on me. I would have been disappointed if you had. I am sorry about your arm, though. That was me, not Sky." "Sky, I was shocked allowed me to harm you. I figured she would take over before I could do too much damage, which she eventually did take over shortly after I shifted, but she does love a good fight after all." We continued walking for a few seconds in silence before Justin broke the silence. He stops and turns to look at me. Katalia, do you want to be my mate? He asked me hesitantly. I was thrown off guard by his question, that felt like it was more of a statement. I decided to be as honest and as transparent as I possibly could. No, I don't know, I used to want a mate, badly, but something happened several years ago, right before you came to the pack. It changed my perspective on men and having a mate. I know this is unfair to you, but I cannot change what I think and feel. I am scared. He looks at me briefly and I see his eyes flash black, to the color of his wolf. I understand you have been through trauma, no one will tell me what happened to you, but I am not running from you. I want you, even if you do not want me yet. I promise to take this at your pace. Nothing will happen unless you are ready. I promise. I wish it was that simple. I wish I could simply just believe you, but I can't. It was a lot for me to talk to you that day we went to the cafe with Oliver and Michael. In case you have not noticed, I typically avoid the male population, unless it is certain people. I promised my wolf I would not reject you, yet. I will try to give you a chance, but the thought of giving you a chance scares me, Justin. I am scared of being hurt again. How do I know that you are not just like every other man? How do I know that this is real? Caught, you won't know until you try. Try to give me the chance to show that I want you as my mate, that I will not hurt you. That I will keep you safe. Protect you. Love you. Be your biggest confidant. Help you continue to grow. I want to be everything to you. Most of all, I want to be the one that makes you happy. He lightly touches my arm and at the feel of the sparks grazing my skin, I pull back. I am sorry, Justin, I just need time to process this. I need to wrap my head about the fact that I found my mate and whether I can give this a shot and be fair to you. It would not be fair for you to be continuously dragged along if I am not going to be able to give you the chance that you deserve. I am sorry that you lucked out with me as a mate. As I said the last word, I continued to walk to the pack hospital. The more I moved, the harder it was to walk. The pain in my leg reached unbearable magnitudes. I managed to send a link to the pack doctor before my legs gave out. Please send someone to help me. Outside of the hospital. Injured. Leg. I barely managed to get the words out before I felt the darkness pull me under. The last thing I registered was strong arms picking me up and the delicious tingle of sparks running up and down my arms. Chapter 22. Justin's POV. I watched as she walked away from her after telling me she needed time to process all this. I was being serious when I told her that I was not giving up on her. I would never give up on her. As I was watching her, I noticed she started to wobble on her feet. I started running to her and I barely made it in time to catch her as she fell to the ground. I picked her up as I linked the pack doctor. Before I even finished my link, I saw a few of the hospital staff members running out of the hospital with a gurney. I looked down at her and she looked peaceful, free of pain. I glanced at her leg and noticed that there was green pus oozing out of her wound. What did I do? I injured her and now she has an infection. As the staff made it to me, I gently laid her down onto the gurney. You will be okay, I whispered to her as I kissed her forehead. Alpha, you may want to get to the pack hospital. I decided to link her father. What happened? He asked me. We were walking to the pack hospital and we had stopped and talked about the mate bond. She walked away from me, continuing to the pack hospital, and then she started to collapse. I was able to catch her before she hit the ground. However, the gash I left on her during our spar was oozing green pus. I feel she may have an infection. I am so sorry. We did not realize that she was that injured. I should not have let her walk. I should have carried her. No use in blaming yourself, son. I will be there shortly, Michael is on his way now. You were sparring, you were not intentionally injuring. This could happen any time she spars with anyone. He cut the link before I could even respond to him. I am glad the Alpha does not blame me for injuring her on her birthday, no less, even if I am blaming myself. I feel myself getting more and more racked with guilt. I walked into the pack hospital and headed to the reception area. How is Katalia doing? I asked the receptionist. She is currently in surgery to remove the infection. They should be out soon. It was a wonder that her wolf did not heal her before the infection was too bad. The receptionist finally looked down at my arm. Oh crap! You need to have your arm checked out. You must have been the other one sparring with Katalia and Jacob. She takes me to a room, despite my protests, and calls one of the nurses into my room. This looks pretty deep and it might take your wolf about 24 hours to fully heal this wound. I am going to need to add some dissolvable stitches to help keep the wound closed, so you can properly heal. The nurse said to me. I sighed. They were not going to let me leave this room until they put these stitches in me. To be honest, I do not even feel the pain. It took the nurse 45 minutes to finish closing up my wounds. As she finished, she told me that they had just finished Kat's surgery and I could join Michael and the Alpha in the waiting room, while they finished prepping her for visitors. As I walked into the waiting room, Michael nearly attacked me in his impatience to learn what had happened to Kat. Apparently, the Alpha would not tell him and he had left before I even finished my mind link with the Alpha. Once I finished telling Michael the events that led to Katalia passing out, the pack doctor came out to talk to us. Katalia had some minor injuries overall, however, the gash and bite mark on her leg had become infected. I am speculating that her wolf was weak from the fight and was not able to actually fully heal Katalia. I would very much appreciate it if not everyone crowded in there and gave her some room. So, I am requesting that only one person is in there at a time. She is still on painkillers and coming off the copious amounts of morphine we had to give her for the pain. One more thing, has Katalia found her mate? She was completely out of it when she came out of surgery and started mumbling mate. Then, she was out again and we did not hear anything from her. If she has found her mate, then her mate being near her could help speed up the recovery process. The pack doctor finished telling us. I looked at Michael and the Alpha and raised my eyebrows. We do not know if Kat has found her mate. At least, she has not told any of us if she has found him. I will ask the Luna if Kat has told her anything, just to make sure. The Alpha smoothly stated. Justin, I think Michael and I are going to go update the Luna, so we are going to let you go in and sit with her. I nodded my head towards him. Thank you, Alpha. He then linked me, let us know if you need anything and keep us updated on her recovery. Let us know when she wakes up. I nodded to him, acknowledging what he asked of me. As they left the hospital, I walked into Kat's room, shutting the door behind me. She looked so fragile lying in the hospital bed, not that I would ever admit that to her. She would kill anyone that said she was fragile. I leaned over her and kissed her forehead. I pulled a chair next to her bed and sat down with her, placing her hand in mine. The delicious tingle of sparks was flying across my skin. Goddess, I could never get tired of this feeling. She invoked happiness in me, just being around her made me happy. Maybe this is why I always wanted to pursue her before she hit 17, I wanted to be near her. Maybe it was my body and soul recognizing her as my mate. It is too early to say I love her, but I can tell that I definitely could love her, if given the opportunity. There was a knock on the door and I yelled at whoever it was to come in. Once the door opened, I could tell from the smell that it was my mother. "Hey, the Alpha told me you were here. He said that you had injured his daughter and you were feeling guilty and that you refused to leave her side," she told me. "Yet, we were sparring as part of her training and I injured her leg pretty badly." My mother glanced at my arm and then looked into my eyes. "Well, it looked like she got you pretty good too." She wasn't wrong. Kat really took a nice chuck out of my arm. "I was just coming to bring you some lunch. You did not eat breakfast this morning and, since I already know you are too stubborn to leave, I thought I would come bring you food." She handed me the bag she was carrying. "Thank you, Mom." I opened the container and realized she had packed me some of my favorite foods. She made me fried chicken, homemade mashed potatoes with some brown gravy, and some mixed vegetables. As I started to dig in, she pulled up a chair and sat with me. "Mom, I love you, but the doctor said that only one person could be in here at a time." She looked at me before responding, "Son, I already spoke to Emily, the nurse with her care, and Chad, the pack doctor you are so concerned about getting upset, and they assured me that I could come in here for a few minutes to keep you company and talk to you. You never talk to me about what is going on in your life, so I want to catch up with you. Now, tell me son, why are you so on staying here with Katalia? She is not the first person that you have injured while sparring and you have never gone to sit with them. What is Katalia to you? Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.